Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy, Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, I've gone through and looked at some stuff from the rookie camps that have happened. Gone through, of course, looked at some NFL news, everything going on, so we're going to be discussing those topics. This was a fun little thing I found on Reddit that we can provide some speculation for at the back of the show, so make sure you stay tuned in. We've got an interesting show lined up, to say the least. Go ahead, pull out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And man, do we have some awesome chats this morning. Good morning, everyone that's already tuned in. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. You know, I've been doing this show for over a year now. And when we started, there was never, chats before we went live, almost showtime, LFGs. I mean, good morning, Harry, Snowman, Terminal Sarcasm, Bearded Prince, The Freak, Timmy, Jim, Anthony. Glad to see you all. And I would be remiss not to, and Dakota, welcome in. Good morning, everyone listening, wherever you're listening. But I would be remiss not to mention that The Freak broke a record this morning, apparently had the longest fart in history. So congratulations to you, The Freak. I think that's an awesome way to start your day. And there's nothing like setting records, and especially some like that. I mean, just you know what? We got it. The Freak. We'll put the comment back on the screen. Just for you, man. Just for you. I mean, just congratulations. Incredible stuff here this morning on Wake and Take. Peter's joined in the chat. Ryan's joined in the chat. Dave's joined in the chat. Damn, busy day here on a Tuesday morning. So as you guys can tell, we've got some rookie minicamp insights to talk about today. But before we get into that, as you can see on this, I do want to talk about just a couple quick, boring stuff that I found. First off, Rashad Penny. He's signing with the Carolina Panthers. Wahoo. The only cool thing to note about this is that Rashad Penny was a first-round pick back in Seattle when Dave Canales was there. So there's a little bit of a connection there, but I don't think we should really expect much for Rashad Penny. I think the final nail in the coffin hit last year when he failed to crack the field for Philadelphia pretty much all season, really couldn't get anything going, even with injuries kind of going his way for a couple weeks during the season. Just Rashad Penny, he's done, but he's going to Carolina. Third, maybe fourth string running back. I would assume he's behind Miles Sanders, given how much money they paid Miles Sanders, but they seem to just not care about that contract at all anyway. So it doesn't matter. We don't need to talk too much about this. It's Rashad Penny's going to the Panthers. We might end up signing or starting him next year if 3 injuries happen. The other one that's, I guess we have to kind of talk about, not a signing, but we do have a couple visits going on. First, Marcus Valdes-Scantling is visiting with the Los Angeles Chargers, so they're still trying to add a deep threat. And Zay Jones, after being released by the Jacksonville Jaguars, is visiting with the Tennessee Titans, who they are also trying to add just a couple more bodies to that receiver room, which makes sense given how much they want to pass the ball. So those are 2 we need to keep an eye on for our deeper fantasy football leagues. So now that we've talked about that, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look into rookie mini camps. One thing I do want to note, guys, if you don't want to listen to Louis Rees-Zammit propaganda, go ahead and tune it off. Just turn it off if you don't want to hear about Louis Rees-Zammit. We've only had mini camps so far, at least to my knowledge. They could either happen last weekend, they could have been last weekend, or they could be this weekend. From my knowledge, from what I've been able to research, it seems most teams are opting to do it this upcoming weekend. But I have found reports on the Eagles rookie minicamp, the Ravens rookie minicamp, the Chiefs rookie minicamp, and the Seahawks rookie minicamp. So if I've missed one, please let me know. I'm not going to get mad. Just let me know in the comments, in the chat, maybe if they're in the comments, if you've watched later, chat right now if you already know. And tomorrow we'll talk about those minicamps that I missed. But I'm pretty sure it's just Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Seahawks. And when that happens, and Packers, that's right. Dang it. So we'll talk about the Packers tomorrow, because I did see stuff talking about the Packers, but it seemed like it was just some interview stuff. So anyway, didn't get any Packers insight, but we do have Packers insight to talk about after the show, just not really about the rookies. But either way, when it's the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Seahawks, there's only really the Chiefs that have fantasy relevant players. But on the Ravens, we can talk about Rasheen Ali, the running back that they drafted presumably to be a backup, is recovering from an injury he sustained at the Senior Bowl. He injured his bicep. He's still out there doing reps and stuff, but not like a full workload or anything like that. They do expect him to be ready for training camp. And also on the Ravens, there was some conversation a bit about Devontae Walker. And this is what Devontae Walker said. He said his biggest takeaway from the minicamp is just the attention to detail. In college, they just throw a play at you. You go out there and do it. Here, you have to remember every little thing. Any small thing, it messes up the whole play. But Greg Lewis has been giving me a lot of tools to help me get open better and how to code plays. The first day I was covered, but then I came back today, ran those same routes, and I was able to get open. So him giving me those tools and the knowledge playing the game has been really helpful so far. And then Jim Harbaugh came out. You already knew he was going to be big and fast, and that's what we saw. He impressed with how well he moved changing directions. I didn't think that he was going to change direction quite as well as he has the last 2 days. He also caught the ball really well. Devontae Walker is off to a great start. I like that one as well. As you guys know, I've kind of been not necessarily playing. Well, I guess actually I did plant my flag. I talked about him on my rookie flag plant episode. I like Devontae Walker a lot. I think he does have the tools to be successful in this offense, but he does have a drop issue as demonstrated at the Senior Bowl and even the Combine. But it sounds like he has kind of been working on it, especially with John Harbaugh coming out and saying that he caught the ball really well. So keep your eye on Devontae Walker. Keep your eye on Rasheen Ali. And one last player to talk about before we start talking about the Chiefs is Ainias Smith. This is a wide receiver, kind of gadgety player that the Eagles took in this year's draft. He is looking like he might be used on their special teams. This weekend, there was a special teams meeting. The very first player to arrive was Ainias Smith, and he says that he's been kind of researching the XFL kickoff rules and all that stuff, just figuring out what to do. So Ainias Smith, someone to keep your eye on as well if you're in a special teams league, could be the Eagles guy. So now we have the Chiefs rookie minicamp, and the reason that one was kind of saved for last is just there's a lot of players to talk about in it. First, we've of course got Xavier Worthy, who has been impressing. You know, there's lots of talk about some impressive plays and stuff. Wasn't able to find any highlight clips of an impressive play, but did find a cool drill. But first, we'll talk about how he performed. This was taken from a Chiefs blog on the internet. Rookie wide receiver Xavier Worthy had a strong practice. I counted 6 catches, including an impressive grab down the field in which he had to adjust to an underthrown pass. Worthy went on to catch passes at all 3 levels of the field during practice. That was for day 1. On day 2, rookie wide receiver Xavier Worthy had another busy day, notably with 2 touchdown catches during 7-on-7 red zone drills. The red zone periods on Monday, both of the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 varieties, provided Worthy with an opportunity to show his impressive short area quickness. For example, during an 11-on-11 session, Worthy deployed a terrific double move to break free of his defender before hauling in a touchdown grab. So it sounds like Xavier Worthy has been impressing both as the deep threat that we already expect him to, but also in these red zone drills, looking like an impressive route runner. And that's exactly what you want to hear from a wide receiver with Xavier Worthy's kind of frame. You don't want him to just be a deep threat with that speed. The fact that he's impressing in these short red zone drills is good news. So here's another look at him just kind of being quick. It's really not that great of a highlight, but here you go. Just a little break, little move. I mean, that's a pretty quick little route, nice little cut, soft hands, and of course, explodes after. No, I mean, it's a basic drill, but just cool to see Xavier Worthy in that Chiefs uniform, rocking the number 1, and of course, hearing that he's doing a pretty good job. Another player that has been standing out at Chiefs minicamp is Jared Wiley. Jared Wiley, of course, is a tight end that they took, and he's probably not going to be able to do too much unless Travis Kelce gets hurt or retires. But Jared Wiley did have an impressive college resume, including in the touchdown department. He did lead all tight ends in college football last year with touchdowns, so that's going to help. He is also really just a strong dude with really big frame. Rookie tight end Jared Wiley had a solid practice, highlighted by a strong catch over the middle during 7-on-7 drills, where he plucked the ball out of the air. That was day 1. On day 2, rookie tight end Jared Wiley had another strong day with multiple catches. He made a full extension catch in the flat during 11-on-11 drills and later hauled in a pair of quick passes during a 7-on-7 segment on practice. Wiley was one of the standouts of rookie camp. Really great news to hear, especially if he's going to be just kind of sitting behind Travis Kelce. And we already know that Blake Bell and the other guy that we, Noah Gray, last year we all kind of expected to be good in Travis Kelce's absence. They just weren't. It's cool to see that they're still investing in that position. It's probably going to be Jared Wiley if Travis Kelce ever goes down. I'm still going to maintain that I don't really necessarily believe Jared Wiley will ever be Travis Kelce, but can he be like a Dalton Schultz caliber tight end for a fantasy team in a couple of years? Probably. So if you're in a 2 tight end league, a tight end premium league with a deep roster space, go ahead and hold on to him. Maybe throw him on your taxi squad, but it's still going to take some time. Even if he is standing out early, they're still going to feed the ball to Kelsey. They're still going to feed the ball to all the receivers. So don't get too caught into this hype just yet, unless you are in a deeper league. And lastly, guys, at Chiefs minicamp, Louis Rees-Zammit, the rugby star from Wales, is coming out and doing all right. That's really the best way to put it. He's obviously still learning football, is really what the big takeaway seems to be. But Andy Reid and really the rest of the Chiefs team has kind of expressed that he's been doing a really good job understanding the playbook, being someone who's eager to learn, asking questions, taking feedback, and showing his athleticism. He's been starting rookie minicamp as a running back, but has been used, of course, as a special teamer. And that's kind of where they're expecting him to crack the roster with the new kickoff rules. So first, I did just want to play this, as he's kind of charming, and I guess you would be if you're from Wales. But here's a little honestly, it's a long interview, but here's him just kind of talking about this process. Whatever. We're deep in the throes of the offseason. So here's some Louis Rees-Zammit interview information before I play some highlights from him learning football. Here we go.
Yeah, it was a good week, really good week. It was great to meet all the boys. Great to dive deep into the playbook, as I said earlier. But yeah, it's been a good week overall, and definitely helped doing rookie minicamp. Getting reps, because I'm a very the way I learn is like actually doing the reps. So it was a great 3 days. So obviously, I've been put in the running back group to start with. I think there's going to be a versatile role for me. I'm hoping, the coaches are very creative here, so see what they can do. But it's all about me learning the playbook and learning the game, because without that, I can't do anything else. So, I'm fully focused on, the now. I got to make the team. How am I going to do that? I've got to perform on the field. I've got to learn the playbook, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I'd say, when I get the ball in my hand, it's pretty similar. Getting open field space, it's about how I do that. So if I'm in the backfield, the footwork, I'm used to being able to pick gaps, use my awareness. Route running is obviously completely new to me. Being able to accelerate and decelerate pretty much at the same time is pretty tricky. But yeah, the more reps I do, the better I'll get. And it's going to take time. It's definitely going to take time, but I'm willing to put the work in.
I mean, that's all you want to hear, right? That's all you want to hear from a guy learning the game of football. He's already been displaying his athleticism. Like I said, there's a whole article on NFL.com kind of about really Andy Reid's thoughts. He's talked about one thing that really stood out to me was that Andy Reid said this: I like the fact that he's got shorter steps initially. That's a good thing as a running back. If you're a long strider, you've got to work on making it through those tight adjustments. But he seems to already have a nice feel for the running back game. So that's already really good to hear. And of course, being a rugby player, you're going to know how to find holes, accelerate, run into contact, and break tackles and all that stuff. So yeah, I still think that the potential for Louis Rees-Zammit is interesting, especially in our like special team scoring leagues. So interestingly enough, while I can't find highlights for anyone really, I am able to find highlights for Louis Rees-Zammit. So we've got 3 highlight clips, because apparently we're just going to be the Louis Rees-Zammit propaganda show, because why not? So here's him really just doing a little rugby throw, but it's cool. He catches the pass a little bit, or throws it for some reason. And then there you go, a little catch and a little rugby toss. Who knows? Maybe the Chiefs will be implementing some lateral plays. Here is this one as well. I believe this is him fielding a punt. Let me pull this up. Here, I'll rewind it. But yeah, there's him fielding a punt, right? Pretty cool. And lastly, we have one more highlight clip, and it's him taking a carry with the running back drill. So again, really being utilized all over the field. Here you go. I mean, obviously, you're not really going to learn much from him just taking a handoff or anything. But again, the big takeaway here is that the Chiefs are creatively trying to use this guy and get him acclimated to football. They're working on handoffs. They're working, I in the article at NFL.com, they were talking about teaching him how to hold the football, because in rugby, you hold it differently. It's going to take some time here, but he does have some great raw athleticism. You saw from the interview, he seems very eager to learn, whether it be taking reps at every position, learning a playbook. He talked about in the article that in rugby, there's only like 20 to 30 plays. He's already had to learn 100. So it's just going to be a massive process. But in this case, it's going to be a bet on athleticism and creative play calling from Andy Reid, which is a bet I will always make. And it seems the last rookie update I'll have to make for you guys is just taking the word for it from Ryan Voltz here in our chat. Marshon Lloyd was unstoppable. That does not surprise me. He crushed it at the Senior Bowl. And of course, mini camps are going to be very similar to those types of drills. So Marshon Lloyd is a player that we're going to actually talk about a few times in this show, but we'll go ahead and talk about now. After being a standout at mini camp, Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich had a lot to say about Marshon Lloyd as well. I like his speed. I like his speed a lot. He's had some good runs at OTAs where he saw his burst. He's got good vision. So I'm really excited about that out of the backfield. And then the article kind of goes on to say how much he'll be featured remains to be seen, but they should, that Stenavich indicated that Lloyd's third down ability should allow him to carve out a role separate from A.J. Dillon. I would like to get Marshon Lloyd out there as much as possible. He's got a skill set that's a little bit different than AJ's as far as his speed. He's not quite the bruiser, but he's got a different type of skill set. It'll be nice to get him the ball in space and see what he can do, because I think he's going to add a good explosive element to the offense as well. This is basically exactly what we expect when we talk about Marshon Lloyd. That is the player that Marshon Lloyd is. You know, this is a guy I like a lot. I think he's a stud. But the volume is going to be the main concern, because Stenavich then also goes on to say Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal running back. He's been all-pro a couple times. He's just one of those guys that's good in all situations, good out of the backfield as a receiver, an excellent runner, and a good pass protector. He's one of those guys that you can have in the game all the time and not have to worry about anything. So I still think, as we can all kind of agree, that the Packers are going to be using bell cow Josh Jacobs, first down, second down, probably third down, unless he's tired, in which Marshon Lloyd will be a change of pace, at least as a rookie. Now, of course, if he plays really well in that change of pace role, he has like an Alvin Kamara-esque ceiling to where he could just come in and be an explosive element to this offense. But I do still think that this is more of a long-term play here with Marshon Lloyd. Firstly, acclimate him to the offense, then acclimate him to being an NFL-type running back, and then seeing how explosive he can be, and then kind of reevaluating what type of snap share he can have maybe at midseason, but especially for 2025 as they ask themselves, are we going to commit to Josh Jacobs one more season, because we do have an out on his contract after this year. So it is definitely a great investment to make. Marshon Lloyd is a really, really good player on a good offense. I will put myself on record and say that Marshon Lloyd will never be a bell cow, as much as I like him. I do think if they do move on from Josh Jacobs, they will probably bring in a power running back just for short yardage and goal line work. Marshon Lloyd does have a really big torso, and that's where his weight is going to come from, but he still does have a smaller, lower body. As we talk about, Cody Carpentier has said a ton of times he has really small calves. Doesn't really mean too much for him as a receiver. Doesn't mean much for him as, you know, a change of pace type explosive running back. But for someone who to potentially carry a full workload, that does mean something. And so I do like Marshon Lloyd a lot as a prospect and as a running back, and especially as a playmaker, but not necessarily as someone who can handle 20 to 25 touches a game. That's just not his game. But it's okay. You can still be a really good fantasy asset without that. So I do just want to put that caution out there, though, because I know a lot of people are going to get him expecting to be a bell cow at 25. I don't really see that being the case as much as I like him. So we will actually have some more to talk about Marshon Lloyd later, but I do want to move on to Joe Burrow, as my guy Joe Shiesty has officially returned from injury. Here's a great highlight tape posted by Jack Kavanaugh on Twitter. Shout out Jack. I don't know if he put this together. No, the Bengals put this together. But either way, I saw it on Jack's timeline, so I'm giving him the credit. But here we go. Here's a fun little Joey B tape on this fine Tuesday morning. right. So for those of you on the podcast audience, that was Joe Burrow throwing like 5 or 6 passes, all of them while scrambling, either going outside the pocket, hitting someone in stride, even did a nice little behind the back toss. So we can assume and confirm Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Joey B, Joe Cool, if you will, is back. The swagger's there, the aura is there, the confidence is there. It's exciting stuff. And I do just also want to note that Andre Yosevich was interviewed after practice and said, you like the amount of power he has on it. I feel like that's what you're really looking for. You like to see the velocity. So to hear one of his wide receivers basically confirm that not much velocity is lost and not much power is lost, if any, that is great, great news. And of course, again, seeing the behind the back toss, scrambling outside the pocket, hitting Yosevich and Mike Gesicki in stride, it's incredible stuff. And while talking about the Bengals, Mike Gesicki is the tight end we need to be picking up, not Eric All. I just want to put that out there as well. Stop drafting Eric All in your rookie drafts. Stop it, stop it, stop it. He's a blocking tight end. Mike Gesicki is there to catch passes. It's not going to be Eric All. Stop wasting your 4th round rookie picks. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Draft Ryan Flournoy instead. Anyway, glad I got that off my chest. It's kind of been bothering me. I'm not going to lie. I will say, Terminal Sarcasm says not one smooth throw. Every ball had an up and down wobble. Well, I mean, it was a wrist injury, so it might take some time for that wobble to go away. But they hit receivers in stride. They were good enough passes, and the confidence is there. Everything's there. And the zip is even there. So I think Joey B is going to be fine. I think he's going to be good. So another player that is recovering from injury, but in a more severe fashion, is Tank Dell. Tank Dell last week, maybe a couple weeks ago, I don't remember now, got so caught up with rookie week, but he was caught basically at wrong place, wrong time at a nightclub in Florida and got shot. But it seemed to be a minor injury. He was able to recover all that stuff. But the Houston Oilers, the Houston Texans have come out. First, the GM has come out and said, it looks like Tank will make a full recovery. We saw him in the office the other day and he looked good, in good spirits, but he'll have to go to rehab and get back to where he was. And then Coach D'Amico Ryans said, Tank should be fine. He said that he's spoken to Dell several times since the shooting and that they've had good conversations. And later, when asked at an interview if he would miss any practice time, Ryan said, I've answered all that about Tank. He'll be all right. So just want to say, I'm glad that Tank Dell is okay. Sounds like he's going to be all right in terms of recovering for the football season. And it was just a scare, an unfortunate event, wrong place, wrong time. And I mean, all we should say is that, we're lucky it wasn't anything worse, and we're glad he's out there for the football season. That it doesn't seem to be like it'll keep him off the field or anything like that. And that is great, great news. And the last bit of news I have for you guys before getting into our final look at today's random thing I found on Reddit. Chris Godwin is officially moving back to the slot per offensive coordinator Liam Cohen and the wide receiver coach on the Buccaneers, so they're definitely on the same page. Also, earlier this offseason, their offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, had come out and said that he will be working in the F position where Cooper Kupp shined when he was the Rams offensive coordinator, wide receiver coach, whatever he was, positional guy, which is very, very cool. So Chris Godwin is going back to where he excelled most for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last season, he only had 83 receptions. Of course, he still had 1,000 yards, but he only had a slot snap rate of 33%, which is why he only had 83 receptions. That was per Adam Levitan. But in 2022 and 2021, he had over 60% slot snap share. In both those seasons, he had 98 or more receptions, 125 or more targets, and still finished the year with 1,000 yards and averaged 14.9 points per game in 22 and 17.3 points per game in 2021. So Chris Godwin, hopefully going back to the usage that made him really, really good. I do want to send some caution out there, and I would almost say it's a potential sell high opportunity for Chris Godwin. While he did perform really well in the slot those 2 seasons, Tom Brady was there. Tom Brady was the one throwing him the ball, and Tom Brady hyper focuses on slot receivers. Baker Mayfield doesn't necessarily do that. He's still a good quarterback, but I do just want to say that, Chris Godwin was a bit more focused on when Tom Brady was quarterback than Mike Evans. Mike Evans is still going to be the focal point with Baker Mayfield. And so I don't necessarily think he's going to sniff the 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, maybe 5 touchdowns. But still get close to that. I still have a good season. But there's going to be people out there, really steaming up Chris Godwin. If any of those guys come to you with a really good offer, I don't think it's a bad idea to move. Just because, again, that slot snap usage, which is good to see, but there's still one piece of that puzzle, and the piece of that puzzle was the GOAT Tom Brady throwing those passes, a guy who has always, always, always loved his slot receivers. So I do just want to put that caution out there. I love Chris Godwin, still think he's a value. And of course was good before Tom Brady got there. I know that, but still a little less volume, a little less production. We have to expect it, even with, the usage being the same. So anyway, that will lead us to my final topic of today, a little bit of a deep dive from Reddit. Shout out user Brunsidon. Kind of doing a deep dive into rookie social medias over the last month or so. Says he's found some insight from it, has been doing it for a few years, so we'll talk about that. But before getting into that, I do want to talk to you guys, or let the Podfather talk to you guys about our rookie guide.
It is NFL draft season, and the wait is over. The Player Profiler rookie guide is available. It's live on the site now. Right there in the nav bar, click on the 2024 rookie guide to download it. It's so comprehensive. We're ranking and writing up more players than anybody. And this year, we're providing athleticism scores. We're doubling the number of advanced stats on each player profile. And guess who's back? Cody Carpentier. But it's not just him. It's Theo. It's Matty Kiwoom. It's John Lobb. And the Undroppables. All coming together to provide their composite rankings. And this year we're adding Superflex Tight End Premium, because that's now become such a popular format. So get those composite ranks, get the write-ups, the comps, the stats and metrics you want. If you already have Dynasty Deluxe, you already have it. But if you don't, it's right there in the nav bar on playerprofiler.com. It's $20. It's not the first. It's not the most expensive, but it is the best.
Go get that rookie guide. It is really, really great stuff. Only $20 if you want it. I believe it's $50 for the Dynasty Deluxe package, which gets you a bunch of other tools, including the trade analyzer and all that stuff. If you want to take it an even step further and get the all-in package, that'll get you the Dynasty Deluxe, the data analysis, access to our rankings, and all of the Player Profiler tools that make our stuff great. You can use promo code Jason to get $20 off that all-in package and get every Dynasty tool that Player Profiler has to offer. So I mentioned that we were going to be looking at a little thing found on Reddit. This is on r/DynastyFF. If you guys didn't know, Player Profiler has been collaborating with them this offseason. Theo Greminger, Dario Offstein have kind of been bouncing back and forth, doing some AMAs on their Reddit every week. You can ask them any Dynasty question. They will answer it. Hop over to Reddit, r/DynastyFF. A user, Brunsidon, since 2020 has been doing a thing called the Treadwell Digs hypothesis. What this means is essentially it started back in 2020 with Stefon Diggs and Laquan Treadwell. Basically, he said he noticed that Stefon Diggs was frequently sharing workout videos on social media, whereas Laquan Treadwell wasn't. And then, of course, Laquan Treadwell ended up being a bust. Stefon Diggs was not. So he said since then, he's been very, very interested in just looking at rookie social medias throughout this process. I don't want to say that this is, proven evidence or anything like that in terms of a player sharing their workouts becoming successful, but it's just something else to look at. How hard of a worker is this player versus another and all that stuff. But as we'll see, as we kind of look at some of the historical standouts from this, it's not necessarily a 100% hit rate, but there's definitely some interesting things to take away. So first, we'll go to last year. Last year, here were some of the standouts. The hardest working quarterback was C.J. Stroud. The hardest working running back was Roschon Johnson. The hardest working wide receiver was Tank Dell. And the hardest working tight end was Zach Kuntz. So obviously not meaning too much. But interestingly enough, Tucker Kraft was the second hardest working tight end, and Luke Musgrave was the least hardest working tight end. And as we know, Luke Musgrave ended the year injured, and Tucker Kraft kind of took over for him, which I found interesting. Some other tidbits from last year: while Tank Dell was the hardest working wide receiver, the next few were as follows: Trey Palmer, Parker Washington, Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, and Jaden Reed. All of those guys ended up doing really well. And Parker Washington, I think, is a very interesting one because he came out of nowhere last year. The running back position, less of a thing, and I think that's going to be more so because running backs just work hard. Roschon Johnson, Israel Abanikanda were the top two, and then Bijan, Tank Bigsby, Zach Evans, Eric Gray, and Kenny McIntosh were all tied. So maybe we can learn that the running back position is not one to look much into for that. And then quarterback, again, CJ Stroud was the standout, but so was Will Levis, who obviously still has his job. Interestingly enough, Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson were at the bottom of the list, both of who had an injury last year or just didn't really kind of pan out. We could go look at the other ones, but first I do just want to dive into 2024. Now that we know that 2023 at least saw some success when looking into this. So in case you're wondering, the two hardest working quarterbacks right now are JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix, both of which have shared one workout video on their social media. But JJ McCarthy has a higher percentage in his 3 posts since, let's see, when did he start doing this? Starting April 1st. JJ McCarthy has shared one workout video, so 33%. Michael Penix has had 6 posts since April 1st and has shared one workout video. So interesting to keep note of. My camera got unplugged. Rabbit moment. Be right back, guys. All right. And then those were the quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix. The standout running backs are Marshon Lloyd and Braylon Allen. However, Marshon Lloyd, I think, is very interesting to talk about, and maybe we could save it for the end. But basically, as I mentioned, JJ McCarthy or whatever, 3 posts since April 1st. One of them is a workout video. Marshon Lloyd has posted 41 times since April 1st, and 25 of those videos and posts were workout videos. He has been grinding. In fact, I didn't even know this, but Marshon Lloyd was doing a workout challenge leading up to the draft, working out every single day, 30 days straight, leading up to the combine, which is very, very cool. Very, very cool to see that he's just putting in the extra work. Again, 25 workouts from April 1st to now, essentially, whereas no one on the list really did more than 12 is the next guy. So Marshon Lloyd, a clearly hard worker, and we already talked about him being a standout with the Packers. The stuff for Marshon Lloyd just keeps getting more and more exciting. So anyway, another player to keep our eye on. At the wide receiver position, I'm definitely wanting to go back to this, as we'll remember some of all of really the hardest working wide receivers last year worked out. So the hardest working wide receiver is Jalen Polk, followed by Bub Means, Malik Washington, Javon Baker, Brendan Rice, and Luke McCaffrey. And then actually tied with Luke McCaffrey is Ricky Pearsall. So I'll include him as well. So there's that. Jalen Polk again. So Polk, Means, Washington, Baker, Rice, McCaffrey, Pearsall are the hardest working wide receivers. And I think all of those guys are people we are targeting. We talked a little bit about Malik Washington yesterday. Bub Means, of course, has an insane speed and got a decent landing spot with the Saints as well. So those are some really deep targets, Bub Means and Malik Washington. But then the mid-range as well with Polk, Baker, Rice, McCaffrey, Pearsall, all of those guys seem like they could be okay too. I do just again want to say Ricky Pearsall did not get a good landing spot for fantasy success. So I am, scared to draft him for that regard, but I do think he's a good athlete, really good hands and all that. But again, a rough spot with the Niners. But anyway, it looks like Polk, again, the hardest working wide receiver, 12 workouts versus 34 social media posts. And then tight end, as we already learned from 2023, the tight ends don't really mean much as well. But Devin Culp, Jaheim Bell, and Brevin Spanford are the hardest working tight ends right now. So again, that is really it in terms of the hardest workers from 2024. We saw some success in 2023. So kind of leaning into that, it would point that Marshon Lloyd is destined for some success. Jalen Polk and really the rest of those wide receivers, Bub Means, Malik Washington, Javon Baker, Brendan Rice, Luke McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, those guys are probably going to find themselves finding some success. And JJ McCarthy, just another reason to get into JJ McCarthy's. He's another guy that's just working hard and showing it on social media. Again, I don't know how much this is going to mean, but it's just another data point as we continue to figure out the best way to analyze these rookies. How hard of a worker are they? How talented are they? What's their profile? What's their college stats? All of this stuff comes together to form a process. So it's nice to just add that. If you guys want to find it, again, go to r/DynastyFF. You can find the 2022 Treadwell Digs hypothesis, the 2021 Treadwell Digs hypothesis, and the 2020 version as well. And just real quick to kind of bring home the point, don't look at the 2021 one. But I will say Rachaad White was a standout. Jerome Ford was a standout. Jahan Dotson was a standout. Drake London was a standout. And my guy, Jelani Woods, was also a standout that year. And Isaiah Pacheco. So there's still some hits, but also some misses. So anyway, just thought it was interesting to talk about. Again, in the throes of offseason. Got to find random things to discuss. I thought that was kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and see if we have any questions today. I saw at the very top of the show, will Louis Rees-Sammet be a thing? And I mean, I'm going to say probably not, but it's a very cool story that I'm going to continue to latch onto this offseason. I'll probably roster him in some of my deeper leagues, especially the Trade Gods League. Big time Timmy Jim, please don't draft him or use your fab on him. We do have special team scoring there. And, you know, he's still an athlete, and we take bets on athletes. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But again, he is coming from a completely different sport and culture. Like, there's just so many things that he has to pick up on. I think that it might be a bit difficult, but it will be fun to watch. Let's see. Is there a running back that the Carolina Panthers are not bringing in? What is going on in Carolina? I don't really know. They just want to run the ball. And I assume that this maybe means that they don't expect Jonathan Brooks to be fully healthy right at the beginning of the season. We all agree that he'll probably be healthy by mid-season. But, you know, it was a late ACL injury for him, so they'll probably just lean on Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, and Rashad Penny to start the year. Next, Harry Snowman wants me to stop calling him Devontae. I get it. I know it's Tez Walker. I just like saying Devontae. I'm not going to stop. I'm just not. I'm just not. Let's see. Yeah, the graveyard of fantasy football is filled with athletic players learning the game. This is true, although I can't name any examples of rugby players going to play football. You just got an offer, Ryan. Your Superflex tight end premium league. You would give up Joe Burrow, get Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Jaden Reed, and a 25 first. What a joke, you say. Okay, so this is not an actual question. Yes, please decline that. Jamie got Flournoy for $1 after the draft. Congratulations. You're going to love that. Ricky Pearsall just went 301 in an IDP league. Awesome. IDP drafts are so much fun because defensive players should not go as early as they do. Any of you listening right now, if you're in an IDP league, I know it's exciting to see a top-end linebacker when you're sitting in the second round. Don't do it. Every year you can pick up your IDP starters on the waiver wire. You don't have to invest in a rookie. Keep investing in the offensive players in your IDP leagues. Don't fall for it. Would you draft Wiley or Flournoy at the 509? Flournoy. Did Michael Wiley get picked up, by the way? Because I do like him. I do like him a lot. Wiley went to the Cowboys. I did not know that. Wait. One thing says the Commanders as well. Okay. I'll have to do more research, I guess. His Wikipedia says Cowboys. His ESPN page says the Commanders. So I don't know where Michael Wiley is playing. I'm going to go with the ESPN page. We're going to say Commanders. But either way, guys, this is a guy that really stood out at the Senior Bowl. Michael Wiley, really, really good receiving back. Decent performance at Arizona as well. Speaking of Carolina, what's the highest you would draft Jonathan Brooks in a 1 QB rookie draft? So Marvin Harrison Jr., Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers, Jonathan Brooks. I think right there. So what? 106? Is that 106? The 3 wide receivers, the 2 tight end, or the 1 tight end, Xavier Worthy, and then I think I go Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I like Jonathan Brooks a lot. I think that he has the highest upside. I mean, him and Benson, really, it's basically tied. But I think Jonathan Brooks has a little bit more opportunity to succeed this year just because James Conner's not in the way. But if we're talking about 2025, it's probably Benson. But either way, I want those running backs before Ladd McConkey, before Keon Coleman, before Brian Thomas Jr. I really like them a lot, both Benson and Brooks. Cool. I think that's it. Oh, Jamie said Jared Wiley, not Michael Wiley. So anyway, I like Michael Wiley. Jared Wiley or Ryan Flournoy, still Flournoy, unless you're in a 2 tight end league. But I think Flournoy got a really good destination, guys, really good landing spot. And again, I just think he's a very hard worker and a stud. So anyway, Ryan Flournoy, my guy. That should be everything for today's show. So as usual, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Player Profiler YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Live at 10 a.m. Eastern, maybe doing a best ball draft, maybe just looking at underdog picks in general for season long. I don't know. We've got to start hitting the underdog street. So I think tomorrow is going to be an underdog episode because I think we've got to start doing some content for them, our friends over there. So I think that might be what we're doing, depending on what happens today in the news. So if you want to hear some underdog stuff, tune in. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. If you missed this, I don't know how you would miss this if you're here at the end, but still go subscribe to the podcast. Follow me on Twitter at JFootballWine, and have a great day and have a terrific Tuesday and a wonderful rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.